This is the story of mine, how I learned to read fast. I have read a lots of books in 2023, but I realized I am slower in reading. So I decided to speed up my reading skill. And here's the approaches I went through. The plan was really simple, which is totally average, but still bad considering some people can read 1000 words per minute. This was my chase to finally read all the books in my shelf and try to become a productive reader. But seriously, when you realize how much you read every single day, imagine how many things you can learn, how much time you can save by reading that fast. I have to go to everything as good that take me 7 days to keep track of the progress. After about 6 hours of research, I made a list of 4 techniques needed to learn to master speed reading. One technique to actually comprehend, I remember what I read. So I started from the basics. Reducing subvocalization. During my whole life, I have subconsciously repeated the other word I was reading in my head. And this means read enough aloud will be basically the same as reading in head, pronouncing every single word. This trick is shut down the inner voice going alone in your head and only focus on what you see. I tried to practice it for a while but was not able to achieve it in the beginning. I found myself unconsciously going back to the words and repeating them in my head. Since subvocalization increases the comprehension, but to achieve fast reading it's important not to focus on that too much. But still, I kept trying. As I found myself confident enough, I moved to another steps, grouping the words instead of reading every single of them. This step was being a bit mind-boggling for me. But the fact is that your reading gonna speed up if you'll group up the word and try to read them as one. For this you can draw 2-3 lines in your page, or you can simply imagine that lines without actually drawing them. Hence group the words into 3 sections. I went dividing the with 3 sections, it would be easier for me to go with it. I could merely understand the meaning of grouping. At first I subconsciously went reading the words individually. I tried it on the books, them on screen. It took time, but slowly I started feeling the approach more natural. So I decided to move to the third step, using a tracker. This step is really powerful, but it simply requires your finger or a pen to keep track with the words you're reading. Imagine if you have to count every single word in your page, it will be easier for you along with the tracker, and same goes for the reading. But with the tracker, you effectively give your eyes a precise way to follow, making the movement much smoother. I started holding a pen under my hand, keeping in front on the page and try to focus on each line. I spent few minutes trying this technique, but this time my comprehension was really low. I went through my finger also, but I didn't got the solution. So I changed the book. Maybe it was because of the fonts. But yet I practicing for a while with the book. So I decided to test my reading skill on the page. This time I have been able to read this page in 48 seconds. But honestly this was fake result because my comprehension was really bad. But then I realized I'm a Pakistani, so I went through my Urdu books. And I found my comprehension was better. I still need to learn 2 other steps. Fourth one of being them reading in the middle. What I mean by this is when I focus in my finger, I don't see all the things around me. This is what your peripheral vision can help you to increase your reading speed with 300% because it allows you to understand the first sentence when pointing your eyes only in the middle of it, reading less words and therefore saving a lots of time. Using this technique, I drew 2 lines in the page, basically skipping the first and the last word of each sentence. I started reading from the second word and stopped at second last one. You will be able to see first and last word even if you are not actively reading them. I read about 25 pages like this. As I get more confident, I excluding first and last 2 words instead of one. It was being tough. There were times when I was not able to understand a single word, and I often to go back and read the text again. But at the beginning, I only focused on reading with speed at this stage. At the end of the 5th day, I felt I was able to read really fast. I felt I have acquired some sort of superpower. Everything I was going through, I felt I can read them fast. It's great. The last step before I go for the final test and see how much progress I actually made is said about increasing the comprehension. The technique includes consistent reading, slightly faster than your comprehension allows for a few minutes. This way, you will slowly get used to a new level of speed. And after slowing down, your comprehension will be increased. And after a while, I finally decided to go for a reading test without wasting the time. I started reading with the speed of 180 words per minute. And at this point, I was extremely curious to see how fast I could read after 6 days by combining all the 5 techniques. And to find this, I undertook 3 types of tests. First one, online English. Second one, the English textbook. And the third one is the Urdu book. And the first test went pretty well. 436, yeah, it's good. For the second test, reading on English book, I tried to maintain a great level of comprehension. And I got a slight different result, 446 words per minute. Luckily, things went different with third test, with an Urdu book, and this gave me by far best result, 650 words per minute. That's really amazing. Let's go! And I basically improved my reading skill in these 6 days. You can also do the same. This is huge for me because I have never read a lots of books if I know they were great for me. But after this, things are really going to change. Everything is possible in this world. Subscribe my YouTube channel for amazing videos. Thank you.